Mrs. Greer, do you want to take attendance? See if we have a quorum.
Okay, Greg Mazzaro,
Present.
Dick Loretta,
Present.
Mark Avery,
Present.
Angel Oilers,
Present.
Lou Farrell.
Present.
We have a quorum. Let's stand, say the pledge of allegiance, and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. I'm not sure how long the bids are going to take, so I'm going to go to petitioners first, if that's okay with the board, and then we'll go back.
Do you want to do presentations first?
I'll go to the presentation, then the petitioners, and then back to opening the bids. So, presentation A is life-saving awards. Chief?
Thank you. I'd like to call up Officer Kidd and Officer Davids, please, to stand next to me. I'd like to detail the events for everybody so they understand what happened. On Friday, May 25th, 2018 at 4:18 a.m., Seneca Falls Police responded to the report of a man unresponsive and not breathing. Town of Seneca Falls police officers Bethany Kidd and Officer Eric Davids were the first officers to arrive and found a 20-year-old male unconscious and unresponsive. Within a few minutes of being dispatched, Officer Kidd and Officer Davids effectively administered 3 doses of Narcan into the victim's nostrils, causing him to regain consciousness. The male was treated by North Seneca ambulance and transported to Geneva General Hospital for further treatment. It is without a doubt the actions and quick response of our 2 officers standing here that saved this young man's life. Also the quick actions of others that were in the home that noticed this individual's condition, calling 911, but ultimately our 2 officers getting there with the Narcan, recognizing the issues that were going on there and administering the Narcan. So I'm very proud tonight to present Officer Kidd and Officer Davids with a life-saving award. This is Officer Kidd's second life-saving award. Her first career life-saving award was a CPR save in October of 2016. Congratulations. This is Officer David's first life-saving award with our agency. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief, and congratulations to those 2 officers. Our next petitioners, first is Dr. Allison Stokes, taxpayers and attorney fees. She's going to speak about it. Please state your name and where you live, please.
My name is Allison Stokes. I live in Rochester and I have a home on West Beard Street. Because I'm often a petitioner, many of you know me, I'm particularly glad to speak today immediately after our 4th of July Independence Day celebration. For some time, I've been observing democracy in action in Seneca Falls from the perspective of an American Studies scholar. What's been happening here recently is the stuff of a fascinating case study. Our agenda tonight documents a fact that is of much interest to me. Under reports, 10 are listed, but there is no overall financial report. Although we've finished the first half of 2018, there is no public accounting of where the town stands regarding our 2018 budget. I have had much experience leading monthly board meetings of nonprofit organizations, so I know the importance of financial reports. When I was a pastor of a church, where do we stand is what church lay leaders asked first. When I was at the Women's Interfaith Institute leading that, where do we stand is what concerned decision makers wanted to know. Income, expenditures, what's the story? Payment of bills is the last item on tonight's long agenda. It seems almost an afterthought. How do invoices fit in with what's been budgeted? Do they seem over the top? I am a vocal advocate for this Ludovico Sculpture Trail. Our town engineer, supervisor, and attorney have wanted for some time to use the power of attorney of eminent domain for an easement to lay a new sewer line down the trail. And their first fierce determination to win this conflict has cost Seneca Falls taxpayers dearly. In order to get information about attorney fees, I have made multiple FOIL requests. What I've discovered is truly mind-blowing. Before the first eminent domain hearing in May 2017, taxpayers covered attorney Pat Morell's work on the issue. He charged $150 an hour. His total for eminent domain work on over 5 months was just $2,340. Unfortunately, Pat was asked to resign. In July 2018, the board hired a full-time attorney who is now earning about $5,000 a month, and that's not counting his health care and pension. Is our town attorney responsible for handling the town's eminent domain work against the trail? No, the board retained attorneys at a big Buffalo law firm, Barclay Damon, to work on this. Mark McNamara's fee is $430 an hour, and Elizabeth Holmes' fee is $260 an hour. From January 2018 through June, Barclay Damon invoices for fees and expenses came to over $87,000. I calculate that even before the Ludovico Sculpture Trail's expensive upcoming appeal to the New York State Supreme Court, Seneca Falls taxpayers have spent over $117,000 in attorney's fees. And I have an information sheet to give to everyone. This amount does not show up anywhere that a citizen will see. So much for transparency and democratic process in Seneca Falls. Thank you.
Mrs. Stokes,
Yes.
I just feel I need to respond to that. If you wanted that information, any taxpayer could call my cell phone, and I would direct you to the finance office, and Beverly would give you that information.
I had no problem getting it, the clerk gave it to me.
Okay.
I'm not talking about
Okay.
private inquiries. I'm
And-
talking about a monthly financial report to everybody here.
And this board does get financial reports,
The public hasn't.
and the public can get them anytime that they want to.
We get reports from 10 departments and nothing about finance. This
Okay.
is highly unusual.
The 4 years before I was elected, there was really no finance department. And so that's a new department, and I think that's a positive. I could give out a lot of financial reports. I really don't know what people ask for. People, first they want to see what the attorneys make you. Then they want to see what some other department is spending. That will be a lot of paper. If you give me some specifics of what you'd like in a financial report so the public can have it, I'd be more than willing to give it out. But you continue to come and either FOIL, which is a good thing, you get that information.
No problem for you.
And since you're the only person who ever asks for it, we'll be more than willing to give out the information you ask for. This administration has been very transparent. That's why you're here. That's why you're here asking these questions.
And
I appreciate,
we have-
excuse me, I appreciate our dialogue. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, and you can have that information anytime, but
I'm asking that the town gets it on a regular monthly basis, just the way we get the dog warden's report.
I will talk to Beth and I will get her on the docket for
Thank you.
financial
Thank you.
report.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's monthly, yes.
Yes,
Allison,
Yes,
if you look at the bills that are being paid,
right.
you're gonna see my signature, my initials, Vic's, and I believe Doug, you were in too, right? We do look and see, I know how much Damon got paid, I know how much Trombley's got paid. Well, you know, we are on top of, to see what's being paid.
But the town wants to see it. We want to know. It's just like the lay people on a church board. Anybody who's been on a church board knows this.
We have it, like you just said, Bev will get it to you.
Okay.
I mean,
It should
we
be-
went through all these in the last, well, today and Tuesday.
That's
Because we have to
great.
get them done before the meeting. And we
That's
initial that, because we know what is being spent out there and what's coming out of what budget. It gives a line item, everything. If we have a question, which you heard me last month, question of deposit check, you know, it's,
If the public doesn't care, if I'm the only one that cares, fine. If that's where the public stands, I give up.
but I'm sure, like Greg just said, that was, you know, get this same thing we get here in our meeting tonight. We've already went through and approved it, the three of us. You know, the bills
I
being
know
paid.
that's-
If I could just add, I know last one, Chris Lido requested that Warfield do an actual versus budget. Is that gonna happen this evening?
no, that's not gonna happen this evening.
Okay,
It's
because
not-
it was said it was.
Yeah, I
I
said
think
it
you
was.
did. You said
I did
it was.
say it was, I decided it was holiday time.
Since you have the information, do you know where you stand actual versus budget on general fund and water and sewer?
I can't pull those figures out of my head, but I can sit
Well,
down.
as the
and-
CFO,
What?
as the CFO of our community, they should be right at the tip of your tongue, Frank.
And,
I'm upset.
As when you were mayor, I'm
Not
sure
the
they
boss
were,
anymore, sir.
I'm sure they were right at the tip of your tongue, mayor,
Thank you.
when you were mayor, so. I'll be more studious in my bringing information to the board. I always have. This is very transparent administration. I continue to stand by my transparency.
I just want to say again, I think it's a real plus that we've had some dialogue here, because normally when the petitioner speaks, there's nothing. So this feels good to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. Our next petitioner is Fred Capozzi and Michael Maris. It's a wonderful life museum. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. State your name and where you live.
Fred Capozzi, Green Street, Seneca Falls, and I'm here for the Wonderful Life Museum.
Michael Maris, Doolittle Drive in Seneca Falls.
Tonight, we thank you for giving us an opportunity to come here and address the board. We have a concern with something that we'd like you to consider. We have two other board members that are here, Mr. and Mrs. Law, that are here in the back. That we would like to request that we be added on to the signs that are downtown and around the area directing people to our museum. We know that the original signage was done somewhere around 2010, and we really weren't up and operating to full capacity at that point in time. But we would like you to consider doing that in the next group of signs that you do order. Mike has some statistics he'd like to share with you.
Well, we opened in 2010 just as exhibits at that time, so it was probably too early to be considered for the signs that are there now. But in 2013, we were given our museum charter and our 501c3 status by the IRS. And we've continued to grow with visitation. 2013, our first official records that we were keeping, we had 650 visitors. But the following year, 2014, that was up to almost 5,000. 2015, 6,000. 2016, it was over 10,000. And last year, we got over 11,000. So our visitors continue to grow. And one of the concerns that we do hear from them when they come to the museum is it was hard to find you, or we didn't know you were here, which we had known sooner. So we just think some signage would be helpful to us. As you know, we recently had an open house that you were able to speak at, and we got a lot of good feedback from that. But even at that meeting, it came up that could we have some signs would be helpful from some of the guests that were from out of town. We have the actors that we bring every year, and Carolyn Grimes, Carol Coombs, Jimmy Hawkins, Virginia Patton, Janine Roos. Those actors serve on our advisory board. And we brought Lynn O'Leary Jameson and Donald Collins also as actors. So we think it's a real positive for the tourism in the community, and the signs would just help us. So if there's anything you can do, or work with us to do that, we'd appreciate it.
We'll be talking, we can discuss that over the next month, and we'll get back to you on that. I'll discuss that with the board members, Jimmy, the attorney, and I'll get back to you on that, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate your time.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening. Oh, you guys can stay if you want.
We appreciate that as well.
Our next petitioner is Steve Gleason. He's going to. Steve can't make it, so. Yeah. Our next petitioner is Brad Jones, whereas taxpayers 100% off discount. Okay. State your name and where you live, please.
Good evening. My name is Brad Jones, and I live at 11 Courtney Drive here in our community of Seneca Falls. Today, I want to address the town board and our Seneca Falls community at large of an improper and illegal finding. After recent town board sessions, the community is beginning to learn about practices that circumvent democratic process. Recently, an elected representative of our town took it upon himself to unilaterally use taxpayer funds to build a compensation package for a town employee, in this case a department head, that had not been discussed nor voted on by the board at large. Official meeting minutes do not exist. While that discussion surely can be saved for executive session, individuals who receive additional non-traditional benefits like a rent-free living arrangement on town property are inappropriate even if their performance warrants it. This should be transparent and clarified to the public to preserve trust in an increasingly untrusted process. Any member of the public, including everyone here, would love to see their rent or mortgage payment waived by their employer. But this type of benefit, even in lieu of a raise, is simply unreasonable when the department head is among the highest wage earners working for our town. It also needs to be determined if this is a taxable benefit or even a legal one. We are already under much scrutiny from state officials. Audit findings for many improper financial practices are forthcoming. Tonight, I share this hidden tactic with our town councilmen and our community at large. Tomorrow, I will share this letter with the New York State Office of the Comptroller. Full transparency has been a phrase used by this board numerous times. Let's now see how this improper and illegal unilateral decision made by one public official will be handled. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Kyle Black, SMI Monthly Update.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Kyle Black, I'm the district manager at the Seneca Meadows landfill. Here to just give a monthly update on our continuing odor plan. So what I handed the board is basically two pieces of paper. First one, which I'll try to show the public here as well, is this is basically our yearly run rate on odor complaints. July of 17 is to my right hand pointing, and July of 18 is to the far right side of the board. So as you can see, odor complaints from basically December of 17 continue to stay pretty steady in the mid to low teens. The $13 million odor mitigation plan that we put forth in 16-17 continues to work very effectively, and these results are steadfast in showing that. Second board is just a 5-year, basically a 5-year run rate when you're looking at 2013 to 2018, and when you look at each month, this is January to December. So again, this would be 2013, the light blue, magenta, whatever that color is, would be current. So as you can see, the magenta continues to show a nice decline through the end of June. So our mitigation plan is working well. The new areas that we're landfilling, we're capping as we go, and all those efforts have come to fruition quite well. So I'll be happy to answer any questions the board has on anything else at this time in relation to construction's ongoing. Go ahead, Councilor.
I'm looking at May at 16, June 23. It's probably the heat. I think just the weather that's affecting it. It's coming up in June. It might come up in July with all this heat that we're getting now. Probably, you think it's the weather and the
yeah, I mean, definitely during the day when we're operating, when you go by on 414, we're still operating on the eastern half of the landfill. We're soon to be jumping into the new cell on the western half, and we'll be topping that part off as summer continues. So, but we have our dust hawks up there, which are $220,000 units we bought last year that are continually blowing scent right on the working faces, trying to knock those odors down so they don't even get to 414, much less get off any of our property on the east side of 414.
Kyle,
Yes, sir.
are these odors shared with the DEC?
Absolutely. Every month, both the DEC and the town gets a report. So the DEC actually gets the details, as does the town, of the complaint details when the complainant calls in, time of day. It's a very, very detailed process. Also gets the follow up from our odor control team. Again, we've got 9 guys working hard every day on the gas control and the odor control to, we keep all the odors on our property. So that information is shared monthly.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Mr. Ferrara has asked for privilege of law before he starts talking. I'm going to take the privilege. Over the past, since November, we've had the control unit from New York State in our offices, and they're doing a full and complete audit. I just want people to know that audit had started because of, first of all, we have a Bonadier group who does an audit each and every year about finances. When they were here, I asked the Bonadier group to do a forensic audit, and they did a forensic audit, and based upon that forensic audit, I spoke with Lou. We felt that there was a need that we needed New York State to come in, and we contacted the controller's office. I know other people in the audience contact the controller's office. That's what people generally do when they get upset with their government, and that's okay. It was the controller's office there. But Lou and I had conversations with many offices in New York State, one being the controller's office, and we fully support that they are down here finding things. I found a number of things from before I got here, before I was elected, that they had little or no internal controls. Things needed to be fixed up. There's a you know, in any town government, it, sometimes it's unfortunate, but over years of practice, sometimes it's mispractice. Sometimes there's a culture that develops and there's wrong practices. It's just the way things are. I hope by this audit and their findings, we can start to fix some of those practices that don't have any internal controls and are not as good. So we want to start with their audit report. We're going to look at that and we're going to start fixing things. But I think Lou and I talked to the controller's office before they decided to come down, and that was based on a number of negative findings from the Bondeo forensic report. So I'm totally in support of them being here. Lou is, and I think the full board is here, and the full board has had 100% access. And I also told people, if you in the town, if you want to come and talk to the controller's office, you're welcome to. So we never made any secret about that, and we fully support them being here, and we'll fully support the findings, and we'll move ahead from there. So, Lou, privilege of the floor.
Thank you. Good evening. I can't do anything in 3 minutes, trust me. Part of my, it's been ongoing. I've been getting complaints from a lot of residents in town of the condition of the town. And I've been taking note of it. And it seems to be a pattern, especially in the business district on Fall Street and just residential neighborhoods in general. The practice is that it seems that landlords put tenants into housing, and when the time comes that they're done with that housing, they take everything that can fit in their car, and the rest of it, either the landlord or somebody else puts it by the street. And if it's on a main drag and I happen to see it, or if someone else happens to see it and they'll call in, I'll try and get the highway, or even Joe Tulo has gone and picked stuff up for me. Just, it's the right thing to do. You can't leave it there. But it's not a good practice to get into, to pull these people off their jobs, to pick up debris that people have left in front of their house. What I'm proposing tonight, I don't know how we go about it, but I would like to see, we offer a pickup once a year for everybody. We have the town highway department that if you can fit it in your car, a truck, whatever you want, Monday through Friday, go up and dump it. Not only that, Seneca Meadows will take, for any resident in town, anything you bring up there, free of charge. There's no reason for people to do what they're doing in Seneca Falls, and it looks terrible. I want to put a price on this. If I send, or the other board members send a town person to pick up your debris, I want to see a $400 price levied on you. Either payable within a certain amount of time that we discussed, or levied against your taxes to be paid at tax time. I think that number, and I looked at it based on the hourly wage, the truck, the equipment, depending on what they put out there, and from the looks of the property across from Burn Dairy, it's really heavy stuff. That's disgusting. You come down the road a little bit from in front of Nice and Easy, it's the same thing. You've got mattresses and couches. And it's not like he can go over with a pickup truck with himself and throw it in. It needs manpower. I think where I'm going with this is that between all the options that we give people and they have at their disposal, there's no reason for these people to thumb their nose at town government or people that have lived here all their lives, and now we see a trend where this is the norm. And I feel as though this is pretty light compared to what I've seen. It's a good starting point. I mean, if any of the other board members would like to jump in, maybe the attorney can tell me what the procedure is to move forward on this, but I think it's something that we could do.
And I would believe the procedure, since this is changed in the codes, that we'd have to have a public hearing. So we're gonna have to set a public hearing for this, and there will be a resolution along with that public hearing that this is what we want to change in codes. So we have to set a date for that public hearing, and I would suggest the date for that public hearing would be our next regular meeting, but before our regular meeting at 5:45. So if anyone wants to.
Is that something the other board members are interested in jumping on with?
I agree. I always said somehow the landlord's got to be responsible, like you said, $400. I don't care if they put their deposit for their rent and add it on their deposit and say, hey, listen, tenant, I got to put $400 more on your deposit.
Right.
So if you move and you leave stuff that I got to take care of it, it's going to get fined to me.
Absolutely, at the very least.
Get it into the code somehow.
At the very least, you'll see the landlord stop by with his truck, and he'll pick it up, or he'll pay his maintenance person to get it out of there. Because some of the stuff I see is disgusting, and I wouldn't want to touch it.
I mean, because some of these people we know, and I think I just seen a bunch over here on Good Street, that's out front.
Yep.
They move in the middle of the night, and they're
Yeah.
gone.
I saw it myself across from the Nice and Easy. The people were
Yeah.
moving out on a Friday night, and Sunday, they had mattresses leaning against the telephone pole,
Yeah.
and chairs and couches, and enough's enough. You know, it's time we let them know that there has to be a consequence to it.
Lou, this is done by a local law because you're amending a statute that's already there, your zoning, your required regulations. Might I suggest that you say you want to impose a $400 fee, that what you do is you impose a minimum of a $400 fee, because otherwise the people who do this will say, how much does it cost to haul this stuff away? $600.
Yes.
Good, it's 400, so
Yeah.
it's cheaper, you'll find you're in the trash hauling business. It's a lot better to make the statute say as a minimum fine of
Yes.
400, but added to it is the actual cost that we attribute to it.
Right.
So if that cost is higher, that can be done. At some point, you want to make it so they don't want to view the town as an alternative.
Yes, I agree.
That's fine.
So we'll have a public hearing for that.
We have to have sufficient notice because it's a change in a local law. There you go.
And that will be at 5:45 at our next meeting in August, what's the August date? Anyone have a calendar with them?
I think it's 7.
Thank you for the input, counselors, and thank you, Mr. Supervisor, for the foresight.
7.
This is August 7th at 5:45. Okay, we'll go back to the opening of bids for Katie Stanton Elementary Safe Routes to School Safety Project. So we have one,
Yeah, 5.
we have all these 5.
I would support it. Four minutes.
Yeah,
Let's put
good idea.
each board member open the
Each board member will be one.
save yourself a bunch of time.
Okay, so.
Okay, Luke, I'm going to ask for your help on this.
Sure. I'm Luke Marinas with Barton & LaJudas. I'm the sidewalk engineer for this project. There will be 3 numbers for each bid. There's a base bid, and then option A and option B. So the sheets that look like this are the 370 section. Pages 11, 13, and 14 in the 370 section should have the totals. You'll see the total for the base bid, and then the total for option A, and the total for option B. We'll need those read separately for each contractor.
Look, you want to just show them?
Yeah.
Sure.
Make sure everybody's on the same page.
Sure. The bid pages are itemized, they look like this. So 00370-11 is the total for the base bid. And then 370-13 is the total for option A. And then 370-14 is the total for option B. So everyone sees those.
This is A, right?
So yeah, it looks like this. Base bid is 11.
That would be this one here,
That's,
right?
yep, that's total base bid.
Okay.
Yeah, right there, base bid. And then 13 is option A, and 14 is option B. Yep,
That's this one.
that's that.
Okay.
Each of the numbers read the first base.
We can do base bid for everyone, and then do it that way if you'd rather.
Okay, 00370-11.
11, yes.
Okay.
Please.
Louis, you want to go over that amount, the total of gross bid written in words?
And the name of the contractor, if it's on your sheets somewhere,
This is going to be
or on the envelope.
Luke, why don't you go up and read these numbers from each person?
Sure.
Announce the contract, because it's a little, there's a lot of pages here. Mr.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. They, no, but they did on his agreement both sides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just make sure we're doing it right.
Yeah, that's the page number, so that's the base bid, that's the total base bid.
What company are we
And then
going?
this is the total for option A, and that's the total for
This is
option B.
Nicoletta.
He's got Nicoletta now.
I've got Nicoletta.
Nicoletta.
The bid is $846,970.
46,970, okay. Who's next?
And then you got,
I can give us Villager Construction,
Who is it? Villager?
Villager Construction,
Villager.
984,200.
Thank you.
Okay. Paul Vitale Incorporated, 848,542, 848,542.
Okay.
And again, this is from page 00370-11.
Yep.
This is Nelson and Streeter Construction Company Incorporated, and their total of gross bid is $923,625.
Okay.
remember. 11 here is NASA. It's $637,777.
637,777.
Yep,
What was the name again?
NASA Construction,
Massive.
Geneva, New York.
Geneva, New York.
Okay. And then the next is the bid for option A, which is on page 00370-13. The number in the bottom box.
Villager Construction, 91,000.
Villager, 91,000.
Vitale, 52,075.
52075 for Vitale. Thank you.
Nelson and Streeter Construction Company, that's $51,215.
51215. Thank you.
No, $51,215.
Yeah, 51,215.
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
got it. Thanks. We still need Nicoletta and Massa.
Massa is 47,472.50.
All right. That's a
Nicoletta,
change in there.
sorry.
Sorry.
Nicoletta is $68,485.
Okay. And then the next page, page 14, should be the total for option B in the bottom right box.
Villager construction, 66,000.
66,000, thank you.
Batali, 35,600.
600.
Nelson and Streeter Construction Company Incorporated, $36,300.
Thank you.
Massa, $33,800.
Nicoletta, $54,300.
Thank you. That should be all the bid prices. What we normally do at B&L is take a couple of days to go through the full package, do a price analysis on each itemized price to make sure nothing is out of bounds or crazy. We review all the paperwork to make sure that everything's been filled out, that the bonds are there correctly, and that the contractor has successfully negotiated the bid paperwork. We'll do a background check on the apparent low bidder to see if they've had any recent claims against them or penalties or anything like that. And then we'll write a letter back to the town recommending award for the apparent low bidder, assuming they've met all the criteria. So normally that's when the award is granted by the board. We'd rather not lose a whole month. Of course, that's up to you as to when we do this, but if there's a chance to turn that around a little quicker and get the sidewalks going faster, that might be something to consider.
What's the time frame?
I'll have the recommendation letter back to you middle of next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, and then it'd be up to you how you want to proceed from there.
What does the board think? I mean, if you wanted to get that done fast and start moving on this, I know because we've been waiting 2 years.
Yeah, just about.
And a few years before that.
Yes.
Going for the grant. I
Is there
mean,
gonna be a special meeting?
we could have a special meeting just to vote on this.
Yep.
And we're not gonna vote on anything else. That's it, guys. No other agenda items.
At first glance, if the low bidder holds up and survives the analysis, you should be able to award all the base bid and both options, but we'll break all that down and provide a memo and a recommendation letter to that effect. So.
Can a contractor just win one of the options?
No, you can, it's based on the available funding amount. It's whoever has the best price up to that amount. So if base bid plus option A plus option B is under the funding amount, then that low bidder wins. If that was too much, then you'd go just to option A. If that was too much, you'd go just to the base. But, it looks like we have one readily apparent low bidder. So we'll break it down and make sure there aren't any mathematical errors or any problems with the pricing, and then get it back to you. So, yeah, let me know what fits your schedule, and I'll
Have
come
you
back
said
to you.
the 10th or 11th? How about Thursday, July 12th?
I'll be here at your leisure, so whatever works for you folks.
What time? Would be good.
It's open for me.
It's open. Vic,
Morning,
you want to make it at
morning one?
11:30 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great. And I'll have that memo to you at least a couple of days
And those
before,
bids,
so everyone can look it over.
so the bids will be awarded on, let's say, August 12th, July 12th at 11:30. We'll have a special meeting and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
I think this is enough time to get it into the
Yeah.
newspaper.
Unless we find errors or omissions or any special circumstances that need adjustments. And then
Do you want these?
I will take these if I can have them, or if you want them for a day, I can come back and get them tomorrow.
No, that's okay, take them. Just make sure I get them back.
Absolutely. I don't have to keep them. So.
I don't think we will.
Thank all the council members for helping in that exercise.
That was nice reading it that way. Thanks.
Luke, that was a lot less than I see on this building.
What's that?
It was a lot less than what it was on this building.
Oh.
It broke down.
Okay, under,
Oh, yeah, thanks.
under B, in open bids, town hall landscaping. And we have one bid from Thurston Services. Cut it in half.
Never give this guy a knife.
That's the bidder.
Okay, so the total bill is, and I'm gonna read the description: remove all mulch around all the building, all trees and flower beds, place new fabric in all area with number 2 round stone, 4,289 square foot, remove 2 pine trees on west side of building and transfer to north side parking lot, remove all dead trees and bushes, replace with new edging around all trees and flower beds, all materials and labor, and that bid is at $13,480.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Chief, did you have any input in this? Because I know, did you do a walk around together and did you explain what you wanted? Was that pretty much what you wanted or were doing? Yes, okay, sounds like it.
I would award the bid, we only have one bid, so award the bid to Thurston Services Incorporated.
Could I just ask quick, are the bushes and trees that are dead covered? I mean, the building's only been here a year. Shouldn't things be guaranteed for a certain amount of time?
You would think so, but some of them are placed next to that air conditioning or whatever unit out there. It generates a lot of heat, and it seems to have burned a lot of this stuff. Plus the building itself, I don't think whoever looked at it looked at where they were. You've got the heat coming off the blacktop in the building, and I don't think they did too well.
I think a landscaper ought to know those things,
Yeah.
and not plant them.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, if, we will look into that, if we have any money coming back to us, we'll use that to pay for this landscape bid also. Okay.
So, you want to accept it, new business, is that it?
Well, we can accept that now since I just read it. I make a motion to accept the bid for landscaping around the building, around the new municipal building at 130 Ovid Street, Seneca Falls, New York. I want to recommend that we select Thurston Services. Second discussion.
I'm just thinking the same things that she articulated. It's too soon. There ought to be some protection from a landscaper or an architect. We should know that ahead of time rather than afterward. And then second, that's an awful lot of money.
Well, the contractor is sitting right there.
That's right.
Well, Bartlett certainly did the work. It wasn't, couldn't find out what the guarantees are. I was unaware that the landscaping engineering report was fitting us.
So, again, I think this work needs to be done, and we'll look at if there's any guarantees on that, and we'll get that money returned if there is.
We have anything, when you say David Attorney?
If there's anything on there that applies, if there's any, my experience in the landscaping business is pretty much it's a very limited time span. You're not looking at like a year or 2 years in terms of guarantees. Generally at the time, if a tree is going to fail because there was something wrong with it when they put it in, you know fairly quickly. So my guess is absent, I'll be surprised to find something that guaranteed the plantings of either annuals or perennials for over a long extended period of time. It's not customary in the business.
Any other discussion?
I just had a question. I know you said they were going to remove the mulch and they were going to put some new plants in, move 2 pine trees. They're going to be responsible for watering, and are they going to be responsible for cutting the grass or just solely the landscaping?
The landscape.
And they'll take care of watering if it needs and so forth and so on. I just really hear there.
Wouldn't that be Aaron with the facility?
Yes, our maintenance man will keep that.
He would cut the grass plus he
Yeah.
has responsibility to water, so they just, and as far as if the bushes and different things needed to be trimmed, that would fall under Thurston, if they, at some point.
Like maintenance is up to us, it's just
I
installation.
would think that,
The solicitation, we're not gonna do it.
I would think that our guy did that. Our guy would do that. Any upkeep after that. And that, that would be an extra cost.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a change order to the solicitation.
Yeah.
That'd be an extra cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion, I think the motion passed 4-1, am I correct? Okay. I need approval of the minutes from the public hearing and meeting on June 5th, 2018, and a special meeting on June 27th, 2018.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the dog control officer's report for this month.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'll make a motion to approve the zoning officer's report for this month.
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to commend Dean on all the violations that he has listed here. He's trying to catch up. He's doing a good job. We still haven't got the other part-time person yet for this, but we're going to recommend him for a good job. And this big list that he does have there.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the Town of Seneca Falls Parks and Recreation Department report.
Second.
Discussion.
Real quick, Greg said a couple things. One, Canal Fest this weekend, it starts tomorrow. Staff really spent pretty much the bulk of all day today getting ready for that. Orange snow fence up, the tents are up, tables and chairs, bleacher level, they did a good job, great job. Had to step in a little bit more this year. Pat Sandrone passing away, Pat did an awful lot of bad activity, so our staff really kind of did slack for handling the game, so I want to thank my staff for that. Summer programs start in earnest on Monday. Play program is on a waiting list already, full. Our junior summer play, which is our 4 and 5-year-olds, 4 of the 5 weeks are full. The other ones has about 5 places left in it. Cooking classes are full. The zoo, only lacrosse is still slow, but soccer starts Monday. That camp that has almost 90 children. So looks like a very good summer. Really good sign-up registration. Very happy about that. And yesterday I sent you all a text regarding Business Park. Sometime after Tuesday evening after 7 o'clock, sometime between 7 and overnight, a check valve on the chlorinator locked up or froze up, something happened. Or the other option, you may have lost power. Sometimes it does that to lock up and seize up. And when it did that, about 180 gallons of chlorine was discharged into the pool. As I said to you guys in the text, we generally go between 30 and 40 gallons a day that goes in that pool. So we obviously had to closed for the day. Murphy's Law, it's the worst day of the summer to go down, but it happened. We did reopen today. It was a little high, but within acceptable range. And by the end of the evening, it was down to where it's just a tad high. We should be caught back up tomorrow and up and operating a little bit. And so just wanted to let you guys know it happened. All of you responded, which I appreciate. And hopefully we'll get Aaron on that when he returns on Monday. See what happened there. Right now it's working okay. Kevin's got it ready to go. So we're just going to keep an eye on Manny a little bit to just keep a little close eye until we get Aaron.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I just gonna say we all lost power out that way.
Yeah.
I think that's probably.
That's probably what it was.
It was out for 4 hours.
What it does is it has to because it's a suction siphon, because it's a siphon, it's got to restart. And sometimes, even when it goes off, sometimes the siphon continues to run without it being checked. We don't know if one or the other happened, but it happened.
And I'd like to commend, when I was doing my ride around at 7:30 this morning, a few people had half the snow fence up around people's park every day. They must have started early, because I was 7:30 when I see them
We met
riding around.
Ann and Becky Blight on there, 7 and got going. And
How old is the equipment?
I'm sorry?
How old is the equipment?
The swimming pool was redone in 2006. All the equipment, the pumps, the actual guts of it, but the little pumps, you know, the chlorine and the acid pumps, they're only 2, 3, 4 years old, because they you know, with the chlorine and chemicals, they go quicker, the tubing. I think that chlorinator's a couple, 3 years old, maybe more. I can't speak to it directly, Dave, I'm not sure. But that goes a little more quicker than the other equipment, the pumps and those kind of things. And thank you, Rick, for that.
Thank you. So, motion made and seconded. Discussion, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to accept the highway superintendent's report.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Yeah, Greg, I just got one thing. We talked about this in committee. The trees in the downtown business district are getting very well overgrown. I know we've been down here and trimmed some of the trees back because they're hitting the glass windows and stuff. We might want to think about next year putting in a budget to replace those trees down there. They've been replaced before. They are sitting in pots down there. You know, I know Village of Waterloo was put in them dwarf trees up there. It's a smaller tree because they don't get way out of hand. That's just something that the board might want to think about in the future.
Okay.
You know, I know we talked about it in committee, so it's just something I'd like to bring forward. Maybe the public's got any, you know, input on that. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Could you sell those trees out of pots? You know?
I don't know, to be honest with you, I really don't. You'd have to ask the trees for a while. But they are sitting in pots, though.
Landfill will buy it. They need them up on top of the hill.
Okay, motion was made, properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to accept the assessors report.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Do you have anything to add?
I do. The issues that have come up in the past 2 properties, reached out. I basically indicated to both prospective purchasers that my intent was to do a time is of the essence notice to either close or forfeit the deposit. I'm happy to report that both parties indicated that we should be scheduling closing here in the very, very short future. By that I mean I would like to see this done in the next couple of weeks. The paperwork, to give you some idea of the dating, the closing paperwork on these 2 buildings was done by Pat. And when I came on board, the checks were simply sitting with him, so I deposited. We had the checks deposited. Pat deposited into his trust account, gave us a check, which we then deposited, so we have their funds. And I advised each one of them that if we do not receive a closing within the next 2 weeks, there would be a formal time is of the essence notice with an option to basically rescind whatever bid that they had put in if they don't go through and perform. But it looks like we're going to have performance on both closings. So one is the old property, use your police, your police station.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should have something shortly.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor. I have a town justice report here. I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a report from the Water and Sewer Department. I make a motion to accept that.
I'll second.
Discussion. Joe, you have anything to add? Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to commend Joe for your calls when something does happen, when it breaks and stuff. You've been doing real good to notify the board members so we know. I did have one call from one constituent. He told that you had already called me, so.
We follow the law first, and then I'll let you know, especially with your calls.
I would also add to that, there have been instances where we've had to assess a situation, and you've been very forthcoming in terms of resolving issues for us on that in a very timely fashion. So I would join you in complimenting Joe for his performance.
Thank you, Joe.
Craig, I don't know if this is for you or for Joe or for David, but, you know, item number 1 in your report talks about the one property that's draining so much water into the storm drain. You're asking for the board's help. What are our options in this regard?
I guess you asked Dave that. I don't know our options. That's why I brought that up to you guys to ask the lawyer. If I had my way, I would shut off the sewer and the water, but I don't have that. You know, that's a little extreme, but
This has been going on for quite a while.
It has
quite a
been.
while, and we've extended ourselves way further than we should. But it's for the betterment of the community. Jim's helped us with that too. Academy Square, which is your store home. And we've even offered to dig to their property. And normally, it's on the owner all the way. So we've extended ourselves way out there, and they're still not responding. So we need some action, because they're not doing anything without the action. So
Next, big infiltration.
it's a very big infiltration.
Dave,
And
so
it's
Not
we
just
do
them,
any-
but it's the other properties down the street.
Yeah.
Yes.
immediately downstream.
Do we do anything and put it on their taxes?
We need to stop the water, though. That's.
Yeah, I'm just saying, can we do the work and then put it on their tax?
No, we can't.
Tax bill? Oh, that's
On
on
their
that's on
property.
the lawyer.
And it's also inside work in the place, so.
The problem has not been with their contractor. Their contractor, who is well known to me performance-wise, is ready, willing, and able to do his end of it. I would assume that the owner of the property has to give him the start button or the go button to say, go do it. And Joe and I have discussed this on several occasions, and it is a problem because there's a huge square footage of water collecting and coming down, and it's really needs to be changed. So if we have to get involved, that may, I'm hoping not, I'm hoping we can just get this done, but still haven't done.
Yeah, it's been way too long.
I agree.
It's been over a year.
Last year.
This was an issue when I came on board.
Yeah,
So it's been a year
yeah.
or more.
We have people on Cuba Street that are taking in the water terrible, and the biggest offender is right across the street.
So there's going to be some action that we need to take at some point.
$1,000
Get on
a
the property,
day.
but we don't have-
$1,000 a day. Yeah.
All right, well,
Okay, Joe. We'll be talking about that this
Well,
week.
we can probably talk about that in executive session with some other subjects.
Understand?
All in favor of the water and sewer report?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Seneca Falls Police Report for 2018, and make a motion to approve it.
Second it.
Discussion. Yes, Chief.
Real quick, I just wanted to publicly congratulate the Katy Stanton fifth graders on June 19th. 87 fifth graders graduated from the DARE program. I'd like to congratulate all of those 87 fifth graders and Officer Denny for his efforts in the DARE program. So congratulations to that.
Thank you, Chief. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to. I want to say I happened to be here that day when you brought the little ones in. What grade were they?
First graders.
And they had a ball here. One of them was my granddaughter, and she had a ball.
Yeah, we have, I didn't actually mention it, but in June we do tours of the police department. So all the first graders come and tour the police department, and for about an hour we have a lot of fun with them.
How many kids did you put through?
Oh, I don't know how many are in the first grade. We're in the first grade, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like herding cats for a little
The
while.
one who failed the manual traveler?
Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah. Yeah, they're characters.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, man.
Yeah. Next year we gotta have donuts for them, though, they kept asking.
All in favor of approving that report?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. We have a report from Barton and Judas. I make a motion to approve that report.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. I have a report from the IT Network Administrator. Make a motion to approve that report.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Are there any other committee reports?
Oh. You had the one for the web, right? I didn't get through it yet.
I didn't get that. I'm looking
That
at
packet,
that.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not,
All right. So I can dig it out.
I'll get that back.
Good thing Greg's one.
We have zoning board and planning board in our packet.
No, we don't have to share those.
They're in communications, just so you know.
Okay, there's various communications that were filed July 5th today. Make a motion to approve those communications.
No, second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Again, old business, write-off uncollectible receivables, nothing on that, I believe. Route 414 sewer line transfer from IDA to town. It's still in process. Installation of fire hydrant on Lake Road spur. Joe, where are we at with that?
We haven't discussed it, but we can discuss it.
At our meeting and, you know, come up with a decision. I know that's a hard place to run water lines and everything, and it might not be
Talk
possible.
about it, you know, we have to do it and pay for it.
Yeah.
It's another discussion for later in the evening.
Lease of space at condominium.
I got a question on that. And I know Doug and Vic signed it, we just paid $5,000 to Mark Kaplan and John for that condominium.
Yeah. That's a condominium fees each year.
Yeah. That fee, we gotta do something with that, either sell it
Well,
rent it, lease it, something.
well, people understand that it's for sale.
Yeah.
I mean, and we can continually advertise it. And then you might get a buyer, or we can advertise it once and then next year advertise it again.
And we got it through, we don't have it through a realtor right now. We'll try it again.
We can try it again through a realtor, if that's the opinion of the board. So, I think you'd have to come up with a motion for that, though.
Can I make a motion?
Well, but the lease of, well, the motion would take place because the intent of this was that 2 women in town asked me to use it.
Right.
You said you
I'm just
can't-
saying, we're paying over $5,000.
Yeah. And you can't, well.
And no income coming in.
And no income coming in, and the information I had, someone has been using it in the town, and it was the community players who have been using it in town. And sometimes I think the better good is done by allowing people to utilize that space, because they do a lot of good for the town. Now, if it's the opinion of this board, and I had no idea they were using it until I started looking into all of this. Now, if it's the opinion of this board that we should charge rent, then we'll charge rent for 2 women in this town who do a lot, and part and parcel of all the activities we haven't done, and they do it for free. And they asked to utilize the office space up there. And I said I'd go to the board. The board asked me to make sure that they'd have to sign up as volunteers for the town. And they asked me if it was up to code, and yes, it's up to code.
Yeah, Aaron put in a new toilet in.
Yeah, so, everything's set to go. And that was the letter we got from Diana Smith and Adrian Emo. And they do a lot. And so, and then, I guess I guess these are the things that get me concerned, because these 2 women, everyone knows them in town, and they do a lot, and they help out the town a lot. And they go to meeting spaces at their house, at the library, at the rec center, and they're always jumping around. And I said, that'd be good if we could give up that space. Very well, no, meaning that if that space sells, then they would have to vacate the space.
May I just request that if we're going to do this, if this is going on, it might be very helpful to have, when people go in there, to have them sign a release.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, something goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just thinking, is there a carbon monoxide and smoke detector properly working in the place? And if it isn't, and something goes wrong, we just bought the liability.
Okay.
Or the staircase going up to it is it secure, is it, I just would rather see if somebody's there and using it, good, and if the board is happy with that, fine, but can we at least put some kind of control on it to where we have a waiver of liability? Because if something goes wrong, even if you have a gratuitous use of it, we're still responsible.
Yeah.
I'd like to just see a release.
So let's, we'll write up a resolution for next meeting, and if the board thinks that's the way to go.
Does that give them exclusive use of it?
Well,
Are you gonna bump out the community players?
No. Community players haven't been using the office. I don't, and Allison, you have some?
The community players that are in the process of moving into the Women's Interfaith Institute building, so.
Right, but are they ready to do that? At this point, is this action gonna leave them without a space?
No, it's not gonna leave them without a space. And,
But the one question I have is that Adrien and Diana have a 501c3 organization, the Women's Institute for Leadership and Learning, and every other year they have a big program, and so they do serve the town, but there are a lot of well-meaning 501 and C3 organizations that contribute, and raising money is a big deal, and this board has helped all kinds of organizations, and they have to come and petition, and it's a Wonderful Life has done it, others have done it, and the Convention Days does
Well,
it. And so you gotta have something that's equitable, is all I'm saying.
I'm not opposed to the use of it for free, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we have a limitation of liability.
I
That's
understand
all.
that. I'm not talking to that issue, I'm talking to a different issue. That is a use of it for free when you
Fine.
have, there may be other organizations who knew about this, who would love to have a space for free. You gotta have some sort of equity so that people aren't upset when things aren't fair. When you say, yes, they do a lot of things for the town, a lot of people do a lot of things for the town.
Okay, Allison,
Yeah, okay.
I never said that a lot of people don't do things for the town, I understand that. But they came to me with this suggestion, they came with a letter that the full board read. The board said, look into, whether it was up to code. Okay, they were the first people. And where I get somewhat annoyed is, I've been in office for 2.5 years now. That place has been empty since the village dissolved, maybe before that.
They've been having plays there, that's not been
Okay,
empty.
yeah, but no one told me that. No one told me that they've been having
I believe
plays.
it, but it has been used.
Yeah, no, and I understand it has been used, but I only found that out after I started looking into it, because no one's ever told me that that space was being used. So, and so then someone comes and asks me for an office space, and I say yes. Now there's a line around the building, well, why can't I use it? Why can't I use it? Well, you didn't ask me until you found out someone else was using it. I think sometimes we have to realize that, the person who asks first might get it, and the other ones have to wait in the wings, and that's life. And is that a good philosophy or not? I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's bad. Hear me out. I don't know if that philosophy is good, or I don't know if that philosophy is bad. But why hasn't anyone asked to use that office space for all these years? And then all of a sudden, someone does ask to use it, and people are coming up with these, but what about all the other people who want to use it? And other people have said, I want to use that space now. I want to use that space now. And because of perhaps the best way I can explain it is a jealousy factor.
That's
Because
not fair.
No, I think it's very fair, and I think it's very logical. You might not agree with my logic, but that's my logic.
You are acting as an individual and making these decisions rather than saying, why don't you, Diana and the Dream, come and talk to the board about it and make a
They sent
presentation?
a letter to the board.
We got a letter.
We got a letter from the board, and they shared it with the whole board. They asked me to come back to them and find out these things, and I'm coming back to them and report on those things.
So the perception is, the line of waiting, the perception is that things are done in an ad hoc, unfair way. And you want to live with that, that's fine.
I don't think it's an ad hoc.
It is ad hoc. They came to me first. Whoever comes first gets it.
No, that's not what I said.
You did say that.
I'm not going to, I'd like to answer this, so, I'm sorry, David, I'm not going to take it.
Are they asking for the whole space?
No, they're just asking for the office space at this point. And if they needed some other space, they will ask us specifically, and they'll have to get our permission.
Okay, I brought the 5,000 we're paying for it. I do agree with Allison. We do give convention, Dave give to this. No. Let Dave draw up a release agreement that keeps us, so we're not liable, whatever, like he's saying, and we can do it.
Would they go along with the token amount to cover the $5,000?
A token, something, anything. They were paying the Women's Interfaith Institute $50 a month to be in our school.
And I didn't know that, but Seneca players are using it. How much do Seneca players?
And how come the Seneca players, I want to tell you this, the Seneca players and the Women's Interfaith Institute have a legal agreement, a momentum, updated you and
Memorandum of
a
understanding.
memo of understanding. The Institute paid $500 to a lawyer to make sure it was set up right. And we have a legal agreement, so they are paying the insurance on the building, they are paying the electric on the building, they've taken over all our bills with the understanding that they are going to work on developing this and see if they can actually
That's-
pull it off. So I'm saying this is a legal agreement between the two groups, and they are paying big time to be in there.
In our building, or?
No, in
our building.
the
Okay.
church, in the
In the church,
Wesleyan
okay, but
church.
we're not talking about the Wesleyan church at this point, so. I stand by my statements, and, you know, I can be convinced otherwise, but I stand by my statements tonight, because no one has ever asked to use that building to me.
So how come the players were in there then, if nobody ever asked?
They were in there, I didn't know they were in there.
They just had a key?
No one asked me.
They did have a key.
They had a key and walked in and put on the play?
No one asked me, no one told me that information. And they've been, they used it before I was
For
elected.
years.
Yeah, no one ever told me that.
That's first I heard of it.
So,
I went to a play there. They've got money out of it.
okay, end of discussion. I'll bring a resolution to the board on that. And bonding, sanitary sewer improvements,
The bonding is going to require advertisement with regard to the actual resolution which was previously adopted by this board to do this. This was basically done previously in 2016, the notice was done, but then the funding apparently did not materialize, so it was held in abeyance. At this point, the notice will be for a special meeting, somewhat limited because at the beginning of the year, we selected one publication as the primary route for notice. It is a weekly publication, not a daily publication, which severely restricts the amount of time. When you have to give 10 days, you have to give another 10 just to get the documents to them so the 10 days can even start to run. So we have to get this in. As far as that, I've had discussions with the bond council, with the finance group that is assisted in the drawing of this, and also with previous council. So we're going to use the previous resolution that was adopted by this board as the basis for notice, and then simply renotice it for the proper public hearing that we need to have in order to then allow us to sign the documents. Documents are all prepared. They have been prepared. They require Greg's signature, but we have to do the public hearing on this. So that's basically where we're at.
when can we make notice, and when can we have the public hearing?
Well, it's published only on a Thursday. We have to have it in, Nikki, by the Friday before, is that?
Monday before.
The Monday before, so.
The Thursday.
What we would have to do is have this in by the following Monday in order to have it appear that next Thursday, which would be a week from today. So all we're going to use is the previous resolution adopted in 2016 with just a standard notice on the front.
Can we do it the 12th with the bid award finalized?
No.
I don't think there'd be enough time.
Not enough
It's a
time.
10-day.
Could you get that resolution?
Resolution's already done. We're using the 2016 resolution.
Okay,
So we're going to have a public hearing for something for which the decision has already been made? And regardless of what's said at that public hearing,
It was.
there won't be a vote?
It was approved before, but what happened is the funding never materialized.
I understand that.
So
but
now
this-
that the funding's materialized, that they want to go forward with it, it would be foolish not to in light of the 700 and something thousand of
$47,000.
I understand the strength of the project, it's just this decision-making process is nonsensical. We're gonna use a 2-year-old decision, we're gonna have a public hearing, but not pay any credence to anything that's said that night, and, I mean,
Yeah, you can pay credence to it, you can say no, you can vote no.
We'll vote on it that night.
You gotta vote.
oh, all right, that's what I didn't
No,
understand. You
No,
said-
oh, yeah, no, you get to vote on it. If you disagree with going forward, then basically what is attractive is the $740-something thousand free money and the free interest rate on 30 years. So free interest rate, so it's 0% interest rate. Board decision, the board doesn't want to pursue it, don't pursue it. You know, I can go whatever way the board wants to, I just need to know that we tell them if we're gonna do a bond, we have to have this properly noticed to the people. And the old one can't really be used because it's too old. However, we can use the project description, which has remained the same. This would have been a done deal had the funding come through from the.
Originally, originally, the bond resolution was completed on round one, what was on the CWSRF financing. The town was denied that, and then round two, which was now called the WEA grant financing, the town was awarded that grant last year. For the 0% financing, 25% grant on a $3 million project.
Like free money, so it's,
I also have, excuse me, I also have some information later on the same subject for you.
okay.
I'm sorry I have to keep saying that. but
No, it's.
I'm not gonna say it to everybody, you guys can say it to everybody.
So, how about the 19th, public hearing on that bond issue?
Can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Foster, you said $745,000 grant, so this item on the agenda tonight has nothing to do with the $3 million bond that was not approved by this board?
Wasn't approved, it was never moved.
Never moved, corrected. So, with that said, you're just looking at $745,000 through a grant, you're not looking for anything else?
No, the bonding, if we need it, 0% interest we'll use over the course of the next, I don't know how many years.
$740,000.
No, we will, if we have projects big enough to fix the infrastructure, which hasn't been fixed for years. in this
That's
town.
what Mr. Foster just shared, $740,000 free money, public hearing.
That
It is free.
Can I
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The overall project is $3 million, $3,005,000. We applied for grant, so basically, we have to pay a contractor to do that work. The grant's a reimbursable grant, it's not money that's provided upfront. Underneath the grant, there's requirements for WBE requirements, there's a lot of items that need to be in order to obtain that money. So the town essentially has to pay a contractor to do the work. Then once the documentation, the financing, all the contractor bills are submitted, approved by New York State DFC, then they reimburse the town for that. That's up to, it's approximately $740,000. I remember the exact number.
All right, I've got
So
that.
that's- yeah.
What about this, the difference between 3 million and 745? Let's just say it's 2.2 million. Is that what this public hearing is going to include too?
The public hearing will address essentially town, it's a $3 million project without the grant.
Then state it that way. I mean, you've got the town attorney saying 745, free money. By the way, there's no such thing as free money.
Okay, well,
This will have
excuse
to
me.
be paid by the water and sewer rental fee.
Okay, this is getting to be a debate. We will have a public hearing on the 19th, if that's agreeable to the board.
Time.
Yeah.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock. Can you get that information, and maybe you should send it out?
She has it.
Okay.
Where will that be, Greg?
Let's see if there's court in progress.
Next Thursday?
19.
I don't believe there is.
I don't think so. It's usually the first Thursday. I'm looking at the first Thursday this month.
No.
There's nothing written on the calendar, but Jim, can we have a room?
19th.
That'll be at the recreation center.
You want to do it at community center?
At the-
What
yeah,
time, Greg, again, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
Want the meeting room or the EH room?
The meeting room.
Okay.
Okay. This, it's not on the court calendar, but I'm not sure. Sometimes they forget to put this stuff on.
So Thursday the 19th, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Approval of special events, convention days, and Women's March. Do you have anything?
No, that's just.
Okay.
For that, I got it.
Okay.
You asked for this.
The resolution.
Going in, yeah.
Yep. Resolution approval of convention days and Women's March, July 5th. Town Board meeting. Be it resolved that the Town Board approves a special event application authorizing the Convention Days Committee Women's March on Saturday, July 21st. I need a second.
A second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We already bid on the, we already voted on the Katie Stanton Safe Routes to School project. Bids Senate Street project. Is there a motion in?
Can I address this?
Go ahead.
We did the Center Street Water Project.
Yeah.
Bids came, we received 2 bids. They came in quite a bit higher than anticipated.
Okay.
So what, with that, there were a few items in the town, and I think this is one of the things Joe would like to talk about later. Part of that, the low bidder, the contractor, had what we perceived to be a kind of a bid that had a lot of, on the back end, kind of weighted as far as we thought was excessive cost. By removing those items, the town had the opportunity to essentially cut the project in almost half. And then that's work that Joe's crews could have done to save the town quite a bit of money. We contacted the contractor to request that. They pretty much declined that opportunity. So we, in that letter, we provided some alternative recommendations to reduce the cost.
Okay.
We can do this in-house, I mean, that's a lot of money.
And there's a lot of, well, technically, the town probably do all of it in-house, it's just a question of resources. So there's certainly a lot of that work that Joe can do in-house, but I think that, he's got the people to do it.
Yeah.
Certainly it's time and resources. So I think there's certainly some pieces of that we can pull out and save some money on that project. We need to have that.
Okay, so we'll talk about it at the water sewer meeting and come up with the suggestion for next month's meeting.
So do we even check that bids, or do we just?
No, they reviewed the bids received on June 21st, 2018.
So we don't do anything?
Yeah. And we're gonna discuss how we're gonna pay that and bring that up for motion at the next meeting. Bids for town hall landscaping, that's been approved. Modified 2018 budget, town county taxes for 103 Bridge Street. Resolution reads, due to inadvertent oversight, the town and county taxes for tax levy 2016 were unpaid for 103 Bridge Street. And whereas the property was purchased December 26, 2015 by the town, which is therefore responsible for those taxes, and whereas it is the desire of the town board to be compliant in the payment of any taxes due by the town, therefore it be resolved that the town board modifies the 2018 general fund budget by a debit to account A599 and a credit to account A1950.400 by $1,052.56 to pay the town and county taxes for property which was located at 103 Bridge Street for the year of 2016, and be it further resolved that the town board does authorize the payment of the above stated taxes.
Second.
Discussion.
How can we owe taxes to ourselves?
It was when we bought the house that got torn
The
down.
house that got torn.
Right.
The other
Somehow during the closing, what Pat did it, the taxes didn't get paid. You know, in the house closing, usually you catch
Yeah,
up
yeah,
on the taxes, somehow Pat.
Right, but are we just talking of county taxes or?
Paying the county shares.
County share,
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'd like to, table this to get, have all board members read the credit card policy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then I'll take my table off the table and I'll make a motion to, therefore it be resolved that the town board accept the credit card policy as developed by the credit card committee.
Second.
Discussion. First,
I'd like to commend the chief, the assessor, and the town clerk for the hard work they put into this. I know they also checked with the comptroller's office to make sure that this credit card policy was good. And I can just commend them on the good work they did.
and this again, to the town board was I asked people to look at changing the credit card policy, because this was brought up by the bond deal group, and it's something that we felt we needed to move on, and we did. And after a lot of hard work and effort tasked upon them, they came up with this policy, and it'll be a new policy. And Chief, you've gone over this with the controllers also.
Multiple times,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Like I said, they've gone over with them, and there's a lot of good checks and balances in here, so.
So I think it's good, and we have some good internal controls on this now too. So thank you. So, motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. On the next motion, I'm gonna vote no on, so I'm not even gonna move it.
I make a motion that we do this resolution, whereas during June 5th, 2018 board meeting, the town board accepted Officer Clausen's resignation effective June 7th, 2018. As the Seneca Falls Police Department now has a full-time police officer vacancy, whereas it is recommendation of the police chief and public safety committee to backfill this position with current part-time officer Jacob D. Chick. Therefore, it be resolved that the town board accept backfilling the vacant full-time position with Officer Jacob D. Chick.
Second.
Discussion.
Chief, do you want to explain that, or do you want me to explain it?
I can explain it. So, Officer DeChick is currently a part-time police officer that just is finishing up the police academy. We had hired him a few months back in anticipation for a backfill of an individual that was looking to retire. Since then, we had a vacancy created by Officer Clauston transferring to a different agency, which then we had a unforeseen vacancy in the department. So that is, at this point, I'm now looking to utilize that part-time police officer that we currently have on the books, and we'll just move him to full-time. So it's not creating a new position, it's not adding to the force. I want to be very clear about that. It's just keeping the current staff.
So we're backfilling that full-time police officer with a part-time police officer, because the individual that we initially sent 3 people to the police academy because we thought someone was going to retire, but there's been a delay in their retirement.
That's right.
So, okay.
It's just simply moving him from a part-time status to a full-time status.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. This is a note to me from Joe Tulo, and he says, we received 2 bids for purchasing aluminum sulfate for the wastewater treatment plant. The low bidder is Holland Company at 88 cents per gallon. I recommend you approve purchasing from ALUM for the next 8 months at 0.88 per gallon from the Holland Company. Please see attached documentation. So that is the motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Be it resolved that the town board approves the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation attendance at the annual Nays Youth Sports and Athletic Business Conference. The conference will be run from November 8th to 11th and will be held in New Orleans. The town policy regarding per diem rates will be utilized while attending the conference.
Second it, and it is in the budget.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Resolved that the Town of Seneca Falls Board does hereby modify the budget for 2018 to include $8,000 toward a new screening bucket with an additional $8,000 to be paid in January of 2019.
Second it.
Discussion. Jim? You have anything to add on that?
Screening bucket that we have presently, we use for grinding our millings that we get, and we grind up the clay, so we can use some of that for topsoil and stuff. That machine was bought. They come out of Finland, and it's hard to get parts for it. We did buy this machine from a guy in Chicago, and they no longer do business with this company in Finland, so they make their own. So this guy gave me a price of $8,000 now, and at the beginning of next year, we pay the other $8,000. We use this machine is used all the time for millings. It's really rough on these millings to grind all this stuff. So I would like to have this purchased. They are going to take the other machine back, and they were giving us $9,599 in a trade-in for this machine that I'd like to purchase.
Any further discussion?
If we act tonight, can we have it for this season?
Yes, I could have. I just split it up in the two, so I can put on 2 different ones.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Whereas the 2018 budget for highway has been modified to accomplish the additional work requested by the town board. Whereas the required work will affect other portions of the budget regarding potential costs for tools, parts, and maintenance, with these lines being short of funds, some overspent. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the increase of the following expenditure lines to cover the potential increased costs. The following funds to come from the highway, cash on hand. Debit to DA 599, credit to DA 5110.210, shop tools, $500. Credit to DA 5110.406, asphalt, $3,000. Credit to DA 5130.40, run tools and supplies, $2,000. Credit to DA 5130.410, miscellaneous vehicle parts, $4,000. Credit to DA 5130.402, vehicle maintenance, $6,000. Credit to DA 5130.411, miscellaneous, $3,000. The motion on the floor, need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Are we talking about the modify the budget for additional paving, or you went down to L highway increase expenditure line items?
Yeah, I went that.
He skipped over it.
I skipped over the budget for
Okay, I
additional
just wanted to
paving.
make sure,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm seconding the one on the increased expenditure line items.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now, this is K, modified budget for additional paving. Now therefore it be resolved that the Town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby modify the highway budget for 2018 to add $330,000 to accomplish paving the public lot behind the stores on Fall Street and perform work on Chapel Street, Walnut Street, the dead end of Chestnut Street, and Lake Road. The funds to be taken from highway cash on hand by modifying the budget DA 599 with a debit of $330,000 and a credit to the appropriate expenditure lines. Motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Behind the stores,
Yes.
I'm against, I know we got one store that has a lease. I don't think, I think it came in for $33,000 due to the main part of the, from Sanderson, more up to the main parking lot and stripe it. But I think we're taking a liability on if we give lease to these businesses in the back. I know Robinette has one right now. But comes to ice, snow, or during the summer somebody trips and falls, we're going to be liable because I'm asking our lawyer, I imagine we're going to be liable, and I don't think it's right. If they're paving back there for us, I think the stores should be approached, and if they want paved in back of their store, you know, their property at that time when the machine's there, milling or whatever, let them have the option to work with Seneca Paving, whoever's doing it, and you know, if they want to get back of their stores done, fine. If they don't, fine. But I don't think we should be taking on a liability of that magnitude of doing the whole parking lot and having a lease with each store, and then we're going to be liable down the road if something happens. I don't know. That's just my feeling.
I think Jimmy already talked to him. Jimmy, what did you find out when you talked to him?
I talked to, after we had our committee meeting, I talked to some of the storefront owners, not all of them, and I told them if they wanted us to pave up to their building, that they had to sign a lease, that our lawyer would be in touch with them with the lease, and they'd have to sign a lease in order for us to do up to their
We're still
buildings.
liable with a lease. We'll be liable with a lease though, right?
I believe so. That's a question for
Right,
Mr. Foster.
That's what I'm afraid of. We get a lease, are we going to be responsible if somebody falls and gets hurt?
Not necessarily. What's typically done with municipal improvements such as this, it makes sense to do them all at the same time.
Right.
Make them all uniform, it's a much better view shed, if you will. Typically, the people having the work done in that lease agreement agree to maintain the property during inclement weather. So it's still, they are going to take on the liability themselves of making sure that it's clean. If they have pedestrian traffic there, they're taking the responsibility under the lease, so the burden is going to fall upon them. But they are being benefited by the fact that they probably would not be able to upgrade their own properties. They may not have the funds or the cash, so we are in a position to do it. The only thing I would recommend is that in any agreement, that they hold us harmless from any use of it or any operation on it, which means they go out and clean the walks if it's required, if it looks like it needs to be done.
Okay.
Anyway, I can't in good conscience recommend that our highway department be out there maintaining this property.
No.
He doesn't have the manpower or the.
That's what I'm afraid of. I was going to say, how come you didn't plow our, you didn't plow back of our store?
Most of it is what, specialty plowing. You'd have to get in there with a.
You have to plow it, maintain it.
You have to do it with a snow blower in some case. You can't get a vehicle in there, so it's.
So we're just talking the backs of the store.
The backs of the store, yes.
Yeah.
As long as they accept the responsibility, they're getting a heck of an improvement.
Oh, yeah, on the north side.
What it is from Sanderson's, the quote come down from Sanderson's Lane all the way down to the Chimone Bank parking lot, which that will be done also. So everything on that north side will all be paid if that's what the board chooses to do. Right up to the buildings,
That's striping too?
striping too, that is correct.
Makes our business district a little more appealing without the potholes.
No, I agree with it, just I didn't know about liability. Okay.
Would we be paving areas that these stores have posted as being available only for their own customers? Or does the whole thing then become an open municipal lot?
No, my understanding of it, they would still retain their ownership interest in it, but at the same time, the improvements for the whole group would be accomplished. That's why I want them to be responsible. It's basically, it's their property, okay? But we're not gonna get into the maintenance of it, and they have to understand that. So I guess it's view shed on one side, and it's at least a statement of liability on their side, that they will be responsible. If that's the case, fine, then there's a benefit to each side. Our side is view shed. It just looks everything.
Then I just have another question then. So what we're doing then, we're blacktopping, they own the spots and we're blacktopping it? Yeah, I don't.
Jim, did you off the top of your head know what the price difference is just between doing the parking lot going up to the buildings? Well, I did in two sections. I did by Generations Bank, the big parking lot there, and coming down Sanderson's Lane down to the community bank. That was, I believe, $34,000. But to do everything up to the stores and everything and those parking lots I just talked about, it was almost $139,000 to do that. Well, I agree with Dave DeLelis. I mean, the bottom line is we have a bunch of town-owned roads that are in need of repair or whatever, and I just can't see going on and paving somebody's parking lot that's private property. I mean, if we had the funds, it'd be one thing, but we're way behind on road maintenance here. And
yeah, I don't agree with it either now that I understand they own it. I thought it was municipal. Doug, you raised that, didn't you?
Pardon?
You raised that it's not a municipal lot, right? Yeah.
Okay, someone remove this second, so we don't even have to vote on it.
Yes.
And we'll modify this over the month.
Well, I'm gonna be starting here on the 16th, knowing these roads, so I'm gonna have to know, if you wanna do these extra roads, or if you wanna do the parking lot, like I asked, that we own.
Yeah.
That parking lot in the back really needs addressing.
Yeah,
It needs to be blacktop.
We need to do that.
So depending on what you guys decide, you gotta let me know so I can line this work up.
I'm okay with anything we own.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Is there a way to word it so that we take out that 100,000 plus and still move on?
Well, I could use 100,000 plus at other streets.
For
additional,
I know
I was
that,
going
I
to
know
say,
that.
for additional street repairs.
But Jim's saying we can't wait till next month to do this, right?
I think we should be able to do it tonight.
Well, I mean, if you just wanted to do the big parking lot, like the first quote was like 34,000.
Right.
If you wanted to take that extra money, and if you wanted me to pick a couple of the other roads, I could take that money to do those extra roads, if that's what you choose to do so on that.
I just don't know, raise a motion.
Okay. Does someone want to make an amendment?
Make an amendment that we take that extra money and have Jim go to probably Lou and
Well, I'll get with Lou and Greg. And I'll,
to approve the extra.
I'll tell them what roads we're
what
gonna
roads
do,
we
and I'll
wanna do.
get the quotes on them as soon as I can.
The optional roads that we need to be done that are in bad shape.
It's not enough information.
Yeah, there's really not that kind of information to do that. So,
It's easy to do, we don't have enough, we don't have the information here right now to properly delineate what they're doing.
It's okay, Greg, we're meeting on the 12th.
There you go.
okay.
Thank you. Another meeting.
Meeting on the 12th, I guess we just added an agenda item.
Agenda on the 12th, Jim.
Didn't
Get your-
somebody look
get your
awful lot
roads
like you say
listed.
no?
Yes, I said no, but I didn't bring it up. Someone else
Just
brought
trying
it
to
up.
help.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get with the new resolution. If someone wants to push this back, who seconded this?
I did.
Okay, take it away.
Check it out.
Take it out. It's not being voted upon, and we'll come with a resolution on the meeting on the 12th.
I wrote down my book, resolution on paving on the 12th.
Yeah. It be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby declare surplus the curb extruder and does authorize the town clerk to advertise for bids to sell this machine to be opened at the town board meeting of August 7th, 2018.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can we put this on the state town-wide surplus equipment website?
International.
Yeah.
Auctions.
Auctions International?
Auctions International.
We'll hit a bigger market with it.
Okay,
All right.
so,
So we can just change. Okay, we'll see.
so make that amendment. We'll put an amendment now. Be it resolved that the town Seneca Falls Board does hereby declare surplus the curb extruder and does authorize the town clerk to advertise for bids to sell this machine and to place an ad in the New York State.
Auctions
Auctions
International.
International.
They'll come down and take pictures, they'll list it, we'll go statewide.
Auctions International. Okay. That's the amendment. Only the amendment. So, to vote on the amendment, to place it in Auctions International, I make a motion.
Second.
Second, discussion. All in favor on the amendment? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll go back to the main motion with the amendment. I make a motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Jim, did you write up a motion for the motor, appoint full-time motor equipment operator?
I did not, I just, I went over, I had 3 applications that come in, and I interviewed these 3, and I come up with the one I told Mr. Avery and Mr. Delilas, who I decided to pick for this job.
And this was to replace.
This is to replace the motor equipment operator.
Yeah.
Because
Will
we're
you
two
give
men
us some
down.
information on motor? Okay, if we're gonna,
Yeah, Bill.
This replaces Bill Glass, right?
This is replacing Bill Glass, yes.
okay, we're gonna need that in form of a motion, who the person is, what rate of pay they're at.
I mean, I got the guy's name, but as far as the pay goes, that's up to the board. The board has to, the board sets the pay, I don't.
July 12th? We really need a motion, we really need to
Well, I
set.
really need the men, I'm 2 men down right now.
Yeah,
Doesn't-
I need a motion. I can't,
Jim, plan on seeing me, I'll do the resolution with you, okay?
Yep.
Oh, no, July 12th again?
Pack a lunch.
Hey, July 12th.
Water, sewer.
I know you need the help.
Yeah, I do.
You should
Yep.
have resolution.
They make a motion
Yes, I need
to,
one, they told me.
I make a motion to approve the water and sewer credits.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. There's no need for executive session. I make a motion to pay the... What? Oh, Joe request. Okay, I'm sorry. Someone make a motion. Someone make a motion to go into executive session. Oh, well, what? Pay the bills. I make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed. Someone make a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
What's the purpose?
What's the purpose?
Second. Someone needs to second it.
What?
And personnel issue.
Is it a personnel issue?
Personnel issue and all that information, I&I, GEC, the overflows,
But those aren't,
Center Street project.
those aren't executive session issues.
Well, personnel.
Personnel issue.
It all boils down to personnel.
It's really, it's not, this thing really is a person, there's personnel issue.
Okay.
Those things impact on personnel issues, is what he's saying.
Okay, the motion is made. I have a second.
Okay.
David made it. Right, David? You made the motion to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion to go into executive session.
Will there be any decision?
I have no idea on this.